Meeting order. Have you gentlemen had time to read the minutes?
I have a copy.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as read?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second? Okay. Yes. Moving on, Arbor Day celebration conversation.
As you can see in your packets, the first section there is going to be our invitation. That's going to go out through the city pages and websites. Just lets us know that the information, we're going to be planting 2 alley elms December 6th, that's Friday at 10 a.m. It's going to be outside the police department here on Palmetto Street. We've been Tree City USA for the last 33 years, so got most of the paperwork ready to go. Just need a couple of photos for Arbor Day before we can submit the application that's here to make us 34 years running. On the second page, you can see that there's some information about the alley elm and why it's really one of the perfect streetscape trees that you can have, especially along the East Coast. Let's see, we'll work through that. And then you'll see here, there's a Google Maps photo of where we're going to be starting along that section. In total, this is a project that will go beyond Arbor Day. So there's 26 little gems along Palmetto Street from Morris to Boundary. We will be starting with the first 2 to replace the 2 dead ones out there. But as you can see, where the one little gem is, it's a little too close.
This one?
Yes. The reason I have the X on there is because moving forward with the project, I'm not going to replant one there. Just because it's right underneath the live oak canopy.
Oh, that's good thinking.
Yeah, so for me, I'd just rather
Right.
give them a little bit, push away, more sunlight, less moss to suffocate it while it's trying to grow. But it's a very durable tree, fast growing, especially in its first couple of years. Once we get them established, probably after 2 years, I will start injecting Camisat in there. It's a growth regulator, just to kind of keep them form the growth rate, keep it slower. That way, it'll help us. One, it will make the cuticle on the leaves a lot thicker, make them disease resistant, give them a greener color, healthier. It also makes the herbaceous roots a lot more absorbent, so they'll be able to hold water a lot better. So after 2 years, that will be our plan with that. And just like any other tree that we plant, first 2 weeks will be every day.
Water
Water them every day.
the first 2 weeks?
First 2 weeks every day. And then after that, we'll move to 3 days. And that will be for the first 2 to 3 years of the tree's life, just to help it get established. Because it starts growing after the first year, it's really the first 3 years of the tree's life that are crucial to its longevity.
So after the initial planting of these 2 trees,
Yeah,
in
so
this section here,
we will be planting 8 trees.
8 more, 8
8 trees per month to get it finished.
starting which month?
I'm hoping, I'm gonna probably aim, just because the holiday season come up, I would love for maybe the end of December for us to start with the next 8. And then January, and then by the end of February or March, hopefully having everything inside.
Oh, I think that sounds great.
So that's the plan moving forward with that. Obviously, on the right side of the street, the opposite side of PD, it's more crucial to have the growth regulator just because the power line's there. But with some directional pruning, we'll be able to allow them to grow to full maturity without having to worry about it getting hacked up.
Okay, and that's along. Hold on.
What was the name of the PGR? Camisat.
Have you used that?
No, I haven't. My next question was gonna be, did you look at other PGRs before making the decision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the second runner up? I'm just curious.
We had one, the, TriStar. I think it was TriStar that we were going to go with. But when we saw the presentation, because when we went to SE Tree in Folly Beach, they were both there representing, and we liked the information given to us by Rainbow Eco Science. They're the ones that we buy the CamStat through. And we just felt, one, I felt we would get better customer service out of them. And we also, like, free of charge, we had a tech someone that teach us actually how to use the equipment that we're buying to do it.
Oh, wow.
So, just all in all, it was a better fit, I think, for us relationship wise to work with them. They also are utilized through the greenery. Utilized, I think, through Southern Palmetto as well, but he has a bunch of different entities that he uses, especially here in South Carolina.
He's trying to get in with us right now, actually.
So,
Dropped his information off last week.
I believe he said he was going to talk to you. So,
Yeah.
So, great guy, great company. And then obviously we're excited to see the results, not only here, but throughout our streetscapes. Especially in our right of ways. We want to make sure that these trees don't start ripping up the sidewalks and curbings, but we also help protect them.
Right. Thank you. That sounds good.
Any other questions?
You know, that's been a work in progress for a number of years,
Yes.
you know, so I'm glad we're finally able to work with it. It's great. All right, Hermitage Road live oak treatments.
So after that, you've seen your packet that there is a quote. The committee had voted to move forward in our last meeting. And I am happy to announce that it has gone up the chain. It was approved by the city manager. A PO was issued. And I've been working with Bartlett trying to schedule a start date for the treatments. I will be bothering him pretty much every week until I get a start date.
So I need to call him and ask for a start date.
Well,
I mean, I've got his cell phone.
we can gently,
Put a little nudge in
yeah,
there.
gently nudge him, but, they seem like they're ready to get the ball rolling. I do know, speaking with Michael Murphy, I believe he's going to be present when they're going to do the application. I will as well, just for educational purposes. So it's a treatment we're actually very excited to see play out, just because those two live oaks, they're very large trees.
Are you too familiar with the trees that we're talking about? This is on Hermitage Road in the medians, and it, yeah, on both sides of the trail. The first large, like they're quite large.
But in speaking with Michael Murphy, also, he stated that not only is the treatment crucial, but moving forward at least once or twice a year, use actual arbor mulch. So it's just when tree companies come through and they chop down a tree and put it through the machines to chop it up, that's the most that we need to use to put around the circumference of the drip line, just so, because it's more natural material that's gonna break down and feed the tree as it heals, goes through its longevity and life cycle.
The other thing that I think is really important that I want to bring to your attention, and I think it needs to be done as soon as possible, is at the median after you cross the trail, like you're going west. Okay, you cross the trail, that median, we're talking about that oak.
Okay.
And at the head of that median, it needs a no parking, you know, sign very visible right at the beginning of that median, so people don't start parking on, yeah, in the drip line of that tree and after we start working on it. And probably put something across the trail.
Your comment puts me around.
Oh,
Thank you.
that would be good. Because inevitably, someone has a party.
Yeah.
And, you know, 2 weeks ago, somebody's on the roof flare.
Yeah, no, we don't want that.
And it made me so mad that I was ready to knock on someone's door. No, it really irritates me because, well, further down the median, it says no parking,
Yes.
but,
We'll gladly look into it. We don't want to spend this money and then not help protect the tree, so.
a split rail around the whole drip line would be the best, probably the best bet, because if people don't, they're gonna park their cars, they don't wanna walk 5 more feet.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll look into that.
I think that's a good idea. All right. Questions?
So this is over there, It's got a little, it's like book. Free book kiosk. And there's something inside the tree that they.
Yes, so yeah,
That's okay.
along there,
That's
there's,
hermitage.
that's just, so it's along the same thing, you just have to head towards the trailhead, the crossing over there. And it's the two trees on both sides, but it's right along that streetscape there.
Okay. That's right.
Questions, comments? Else regarding that? Okay, park assessment Rogers Park.
So I can see here another Google photo of what we call Rogers Park. It is a city-owned property since 2018, according to GIS. It's across the way from the county's Basil Green ball field. It's a tiny little parcel, mainly just passerby, kind of the local neighborhood utilizes it every now and then. I kind of see somebody sitting there on a bench enjoying something. But for the most part, it's kind of a quiet, peaceful little pocket park. Over the last couple of months though, as I've kind of gotten to accustomed to maintaining it, I would like to see some more and maybe additions to go in this tiny park. So if,
It looks really small.
yeah, well, when you get there, there's actually a little bit more kind of space. The zoomed out picture kind of makes it look like there's a good amount of distance between the sidewalk to that white fence on the backside there. But I mean, majority of it, it's Asiatic jasmine, pretty much as the ground barrier, going all the way around to the Lafayette side of the corner there. But we would just like to see, if there's anything that your expertise would see and spot out and bring to the table.
Maybe another bench. Maybe another bench in the shade.
Is there a sign anywhere?
Hmm?
Is there a sign anywhere?
No.
So yeah, I've been by there lots of times,
Yeah.
jogging, biking, so I thought it was a resident that put that bench out. I never crossed my mind it was a city park, but surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, yeah.
Like I said, there was a little handshake deal that the homeowner there said that he was gonna maintain it. He was cutting it on his own thing because he said he wanted to keep it looking good. And when he sold the house and moved, and our supervisor retired, it's a little knowledge of us maintaining that. So we jumped right back on it and been maintaining it ever since, probably for the last, let's say, year and a half, almost 2 years.
It's nice. During the hot weather, and we get a lot of it, it's nice to have a bench in the shade.
Mm-hmm.
Guys see anything?
I honestly thought too, kind of looking at it, you see that little space there from the sidewalk to where the Asiatic jasmine is under the oak trees.
Mhm.
Of maybe even the bench for there.
I think that's a good idea, just because sitting in the glaring sunlight can get pretty hot.
Yeah, I think this is, because just because we've only had it since 2018, this is one of the main untouched pocket parks that we have, or we really haven't developed inside of it. So it'd be a good opportunity to kind of go in there and maybe redesign it or reimagine it in our own way.
So is that the name of it now, or?
So that's what we call it, just from a maintenance, perspective. Instead of telling the guys, hey, go cut that park over here, we just say, hey, Rogers Park. So when we train new employees or old employees, they can say, hey, that, Rogers Park is on Rogers. So it's kind of, yeah.
You're thinking about reimagining this park, I mean, first of all, you've got these live oaks that are not going anywhere.
Tap into a water source anywhere near there, maybe do a node to irrigation.
We probably
If you
could.
wanna add, if you wanted to add like a small flower bed or something.
Yeah, I'm sure even if we wanted to, we can call Beaver Jasper and have them install a tap somewhere there.
Color would be nice. I think that's a nice idea,
I would
but with that is gonna go more maintenance.
I agree that if there's irrigation though, it really helps along with the flower beds, especially keeping them alive. It's better to have irrigation there to know that they're getting watered than have to rely on hand water.
And again, maybe not even flowers, but, perennials that are, have color that can. A little more drought tolerant.
Line.
Similar to what I was talking about last week.
Helen funds?
Yes, kind of similar to that. Sister school where you can do some variegated stuff, black lily.
Yeah.
Low bushes, maybe some sunshine in the gutters since there's so much sun there. And they're bright yellow bush,
Not a shade too.
Yeah, they get big.
even ginger
Yeah.
in that area.
There's a really pretty variegated Laura Petalum too.
Yes.
You know, it has white,
Yeah.
burgundy, purple. It's really pretty. And a bunch of deer that's making my yard, which is really above. Strip down everything. I think, yeah, I think that's,
Yeah, like I said, if you guys get time, because our next meeting will be Arbor Day. Our final meeting of the year is always Arbor Day, so it'll be Friday, December 6th at 10 over here. And then so our true next meeting where we'll sit down and kind of go over business, start working on things will be January. So I'd probably say we have until January meeting to bring our assessments to the table.
Right.
I'd love to visit it.
Yeah.
I can go by, you can go by.
Like I said, if you ever,
Yeah,
if you get time to go by and
it's the bike route.
if you want to set up a meeting, I'm more than welcoming to meet you guys over there and kind of walk through the park and run through some ideas. Okay.
Sounds good.
So those fences are the houses?
I don't know, yeah.
Okay,
Do you,
it's like two different colors, yeah. Or no, it's one color.
now that we're getting closer to the holidays, do you have access to your calendars right now to set up a time to meet over there?
Yep.
Because if I set it up now, otherwise time will go by.
It's the season.
I know.
My calendar stays in my spot.
What's up with fun here, so. So what do y'all, do you wanna meet sooner than later or after Arbor Day, perhaps? Thanksgiving is so late this year.
Yes. Well, that first week is gonna be very, let's say hectic, but it's gonna be very busy for city, just because we have ribbon cutting, I believe, for Southside Park is going to, the playground's gonna be open up to the public, I believe, December 4th, that Wednesday. Then we have Arbor Day on Friday, and then we also have Night Out of Town Friday night and the lighting of the Christmas tree.
Well,
And the parade that weekend, so.
so what's your next week like?
Next week, it's a short week for us. so
December,
I'm good.
December 9th, 10th, 9th,
So you're talking week after that. I'm sorry, I thought you were saying next week.
oh, next
So,
week,
yeah.
yeah.
Say next week, I got 3 days that I have to work around, that's it. December 9th, I can make myself available, whatever.
It's on Monday.
Yeah.
I'm good on that day. Do it in the afternoon.
Okay. I'm good. What time? 2 o'clock? Is that suit? Or do you want to do it later? 4?
We do it at 4.
Sure,
Yeah.
because how about you, Joe?
That's fine. What day of the week?
That'd be Monday, right?
That's gonna be Monday.
That'll work.
Okay, so we're gonna meet at Rogers Park.
The date of that or?
December 9th, right?
December 9th, right?
Okay.
Okay,
9th at 4 o'clock.
1904 Rogers Park, meeting at 9 o'clock on December 4th. Right. That sounds good. Good. It's like walking away with that. More Bible.
Yeah.
Okay,
Everything good.
public comment?
Any public comment?
No? All right,
You want to talk about Arbor Day?
Surprisingly, no.
new business.
I will say, concerning new business, one thing I know, Mark, that we talked the last minute, I think still should ring true that we should kind of work towards doing next year is a newsletter that will go out probably, I would say in August, of next year to put out through the city for local garden clubs or organizations that would want to bring ideas for Arbor Day. So that way it gives them enough time to kind of get together, talk with us, maybe find a location. And then present it to us, and if we find it viable or the location viable, that we can use it for Arbor Day moving forward, because. Every year, probably around this time, usually a week or so before Arbor Day, I start getting phone calls from, garden clubs and other entities talking about Arbor Day. And it's kind of a little late in that process to try to plan something like that.
Okay,
I know me and you spoke about it, that, we would like the Arbor Day settled. And that's why we were kind of planning what we did to jump on the project we've been talking about for a while for Arbor Day and continue through the next couple of months to finish that. But I think maybe kind of working together on the newsletter and how we want to put it out, what kind of information we would want in there. What kind of organizations or maybe school systems that we want to try to welcome. We trying to partner up and see what we can do forward with that.
in the past, we've invited, I remember one time we had it at the waterfront park. It was, I think, Michael was there. And he was showing kids what a cookie looked like, which is, a slice of big oak tree, educating them about things like that. And it was really fun. It was really fun for them. I think they came from Beaufort Elementary, walked down there. That was fun and educational. We had tables set up and then we had like another table for refreshments, kids and stuff. All right.
Anybody else got anything they want to bring up?
Is there, or for that newsletter, would this be something where you would maybe ask her if a local company would like to donate?
So most of the time we would look into that. That's why we kind of want to do it that way. So it gives time for organizations or companies to want to say, hey, I would like to donate a tree for Arbor Day. And then maybe the garden clubs can kind of like sponsor it in a way where maybe they'll pick a location or come up and say, oh, well, our group will help plan it here. Or maybe the school system will say, oh, well, we would like to do it. And then we can maybe get on the phone with my feed app, go down and educate them on Arbor Day, little fun activities and stuff. And
We also did it with the school on the rail trail.
Yeah.
And they came down. for
that's,
Arbor Day.
that's the thing. I think it's good. Because you want to. Our whole goal for Arbor Day is to get people to come out and celebrate, help beautify Beaufort and the future generations moving forward. So that's our goal, is to kind of collaborate and work with different entities, different organizations. So that's why I think we talked about it years past last year, that that newsletter would be crucial to kind of help these garden clubs or organizations that want to get involved that maybe don't know how to get involved. And that would be the key piece to say, oh, okay, well, this is the information we'll need. It'll kind of break it down, like, please pick what kind of species of tree that you're looking to plant. What locations were you thinking, because not every location is gonna be viable. Like, we did Duck Pond 2 years in a row in that location. From a maintenance standpoint, we can't plug in any more trees just because we'll need to, at some point in time, probably maybe get our mower backs in there or machinery. We just can't fit any more trees in that location. So we'd have to say, this year, these locations are not viable for.
Whatever happened with, Craven Street?
So
And
Craven
then
Street,
Meadows,
Craven Street is an SCDOT right away.
correct?
And so they were going through. I don't want to put words in their mouth just because it's a different entity, I don't work for them, but I think around that time when they were going through the line clearing. The amount of obvious, I guess, blowback that they were getting from it.
There, just to let you guys know, there was real pushback.
Yeah.
From some people here in Beaufort about the replanting of some pimento trees that had died
Yes.
and had been removed.
Yeah.
So it just kind of faded.
It was a very hard process because that encroachment permit was denied multiple times, and then other people had to kind of get involved to be able to push that through. Just because it's SCDOT's right away, they have the final say of what they want in there. And I believe just because I think the one side of the road had the power lines and they no longer want trees to grow up into their power lines. So it was a difficult, process to kind of run through. We submitted twice, especially I think it was Mr. Bill Jurassic that was calling. We were trying to push through
Correct.
for that final one,
Right.
and it was getting nowhere. So at that point, we can keep submitting, but at the end of the day, if it's SCDOT right away, they have the final right to approve or deny.
The final answer to that is, because Bill called me, it's probably been,
It's been about like 2 years, I would say.
yeah, but probably in the last few months he's called me.
Yeah.
But, so basically that's,
Well, it's not saying that
That's
it can never
finished.
happen. I think right now, DOT in this branch is going through a change in management. So I think they're waiting to see what they're gonna do, who they're gonna appoint to take over. So I think right now, it's just kind of feeling that process out. There's no problem with putting another encroachment permit in and seeing what we can do. But
they can only say no.
they can always say no or say yes, but it just depends. There's no harm in trying. So
I have to say that I'm really pleased that these two trees are being addressed, the ones on Hermitage. In a pretty timely manner.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased about that and want to encourage you all, everybody, to take a look at any trees, perhaps on city property, that need to be addressed, which is going to lead us into, our responsibilities as a Parks and Tree Advisory Commission.
yes.
So I asked Isaiah and Joda to read through this and come up with any additions to the duties and the responsibilities of Ptac. So, and once again, one of the questions is where is, where's the money?
Don't need the money.
Yeah, I know, I've asked this like a bunch of times. And is there a line item for that, or?
So for us, when we submit this, Public Works does not have access to outside funding.
Okay,
So if it's out.
this refers to a tree planting fund.
So
But,
if you
and as per Tree City USA, that's a requirement. Am I correct?
I don't believe that is a requirement through
To have a,
Tree City.
to have a tree fund.
So it is a requirement through Tree City USA to have a tree board or to have a entity. So whether a city manager or a public works crew that oversees the maintenance and care for the trees throughout the city.
Mhm.
A tree fund is more, I would say, of a kind of like an ordinance thing. It's put through your planning. So your tree ordinance will say, when trees are taken out, this money will be allocated through a single fund that can be utilized to plant.
And maintain.
Yes. So that's kind of what it runs to.
Is that,
So that is not, so
so that's really kind of like a, I don't know. And here's,
here's the planning.
they have collected, you know, I'm gonna say, I mean, a lot of money for the clear cutting that has taken place.
I would assume so, yeah.
And does that go into the general fund? Or is that put aside for the purposes of replacing trees and maintaining trees and doing things like what is gonna be done on Hermitage Road?
So if you read the tree ordinance, the way it is described to me, it would believe that money would have to be replaced through a certain fund to replace what is removed. Because you have to, if you take down a, you know, say a 10 to 20-inch live oak or something like that, you'd have to replace whatever it says in there, per caliber tree. You know, so a certain size tree, you'd have to replace a certain inch.
Oh, you're talking about a developer doing it,
Well,
remediation.
yeah, so that to me, that money has to be allocated through something. So if it's in our ordinance, that money from that should be going somewhere. What fund, it doesn't truly state in our ordinance where that money, if it goes to said tree fund or if it goes to general fund. But that money does go somewhere. That money though is outside of public works. So public works can only see public works funding. So when something like this comes up where the board votes and approves, it gets taken to the city manager. When the city manager approves, it goes to finance, and then finance pulls it from whichever line item department it has to come.
So there's, it's, tell me if I'm wrong here, there's no established tree fund.
To my knowledge, just because, I'm not gonna say there
It's
is,
all part of the big,
yeah, I can't say it isn't just because I can't access that. So that's a question for someone else, whether it's finance or it is planning department.
So
So
if-
wherever that money goes to, that's where the answer will come from, because I can't log into mine. I can only see my funding through my department, so I can see stormwater, parks, fleet, I can see all of that. Outside of public works, I have no access to anybody else's funding.
so question, if Ptac comes under public works, which it does, then how come there would not be a tree fund?
Just because public works, so when,
'Cause-
like, what happened across from Walmart
Huh?
with the clear cutting. That's not public works funding, so public works has nothing to do with that, that's all planning. Slash codes, that, so the money would run through that, because all the permitting and everything runs through that. Public works side, we took it over mainly just because it's parks, trees, advisory committee. So really, public works maintains all the parks, we do most of the tree maintenance, so it made more sense to put us under. When it was under planning, it was because Liza was at public works. And when Liza retired or moved and went to planning, she took Ptac with her. But when she retired, it made more sense to kind of have you guys here because we do the parks. And your responsibility wise, it lines up more with what we do.
Okay, did you guys have a chance to read the responsibilities of Ptac? Have you had a chance to?
Yes.
So one of the things is naming and renaming parks.
Mhm.
And we haven't done that. You know, we haven't been involved in Southside Park or in, you know, pretty much any park in
I
the
think, well,
downtown area.
I think, so for me, and I will say this, I believe the south side part was going through the time when you were, I believe, you and Gordon were the only two members left.
Mhm.
And we were trying to fill those seats, so south side was still going on through that time. So when technically there wasn't a board to meet for a quorum. So during that time, you had every right to have that information brought to you. I believe during that time though, because there wasn't a quorum, it still had to go through its process. And then by the time we had members, it was already almost through its master plan. But I do agree that when it comes to the parks, you should be involved. Especially now that there is a quorum. I can make sure that that's the case.
Yeah, cause I read that, I was reading that and I was thinking. Rogers, we're kind of naming it that, but it doesn't have an official name. Is that a park that we would
That's the part that we could, I definitely.
rename?
Okay,
Because when I look it up on everything, there's no documentation of it being named, it was just kind
Yeah,
of.
you can't Google it, you
Yeah.
can't, there's nothing.
It was just bought and the city put us to maintain it.
So if we put money in to beautify it or make it better, then we should definitely give it a name so that people can find it.
I definitely think that's something that we could do.
yeah, I think that's a nice idea. Okay, so what do we need to do to inform them?
So, like I said, the assessment, and this is the perfect thing, these assessments will help too, because. We're doing the legwork, we take, this is what we would like to do at the park. And we can find different ways to find funding, so like I said, all that information, once you guys vote, like, hey, is this what we agree on doing? And we all vote and it gets passed. I can take the same thing like with the tree quote, with the tree treatment. We could push it up the ladder, and then once it's approved through the city manager, then we can start going, okay, well. Do we want to pull funds from here, or do we want, is it something that Public Works can do? It just depends on the money line, you know?
So it's basically. You're given a budget, and when you spend money, you are basically, you have a list of codes.
Yes,
And at some point, you're gonna come across an expense that doesn't match up with a certain line item, so you're kind of like, okay, well. Since it's this, it would technically fall under this code, and that's how you use that fund.
Yes.
That's, okay. So if we did something like this, it would have to be determined.
so like I said, everything that we want to do, I don't think honestly, to me, that's what this committee was created for. You know, it's in there, the commissioning and decommissioning of parks,
Mhm.
you know. Creating the names, changing the names, all that stuff, and that's my thing, I would love for this board to get as creative as they want to. It's like I said, any idea that we bring, the worst that could be said is no, but if we don't bring the proposed changes, nothing will ever change, you know what I mean?
Yeah, one of the other things that we used to do is serve as response to homeowners who have been denied, you know, removal of the trees. They could appeal it to the tree board.
Yeah.
And that was something that we did and, you know, acted on.
The only thing is, it depends, because if the codes have changed,
And this was strictly residential, it wasn't commercial.
so that's my thing, is that if the codes change, then probably your responsibilities have changed, that's probably why it has gone through you. So maybe,
The codes,
so the muni codes for the city, so there may have been at a time where that was the case, where most of that came through you were the permitting, but maybe a code was written where planning does all the codes. So planning does put the permits out, so you have to apply for a permit if you want to remove a tree, especially if it's a landmark tree,
right,
and planning would assess your permit and approve it, or.
well, and that could be too, because once again, Liza was affiliated with planning and,
There could have been that.
you know, she delegated that to us.
Yes, there could have been that.
Well, maybe we should be delegated that again.
Well, there's that's
What do you
something,
guys think?
that's something you can look into.
You know, just, yeah,
Like I said, the responsibility changes, if that's something that you wanted added into it and brought forth in front of the city manager and council, we can gladly do that.
So now we talk about trees, I noticed though, in the definition section, section 3. It says street trees are here and I have defined as trees, shrubs, bushes. So when we're assessing trees, we're going through and we're looking at the way the trees look. We should be going through and also looking at the shrubs.
Yeah.
Bushes, there's dead shrubs, there's dead bushes, that we should be bringing that to your attention, correct?
And also, like, former member, like Victoria used to bring up too, that there were certain species that were on the list that were now included on the invasive plant list that should be taken off. That shouldn't be recommended moving forward. So there's things like that as well.
Montana.
Yeah, yeah.
Helianthus.
Yeah, oh,
So there's things like that.
Mhm.
Like I said, you know,
Okay,
it's kind of, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? And
I'm very interested in renaming Rogers Park. I think that would be awesome if we meet. You know, I'm gonna kind of go through. The way I'm looking at it is maybe do a little bit of research on the park, what I can find. It has a historic meaning,
Yeah.
the year that it was put in or what was going on historically at that time.
yeah,
You know, so I'm very interested in doing some digging and maybe when we meet on site on the 9th, we can talk about that a little bit too.
sure. You know that they're in the process of trying to establish a new park. You aware of this?
yes, the first volunteers of South Carolina. So where the old Wendy's was on Boundary Street, that bluff that runs across there, so you have Battery Saxon that starts it. And then it would run
Yeah.
all the way across where the old county building used to be to the next trust. You should know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
And that plays very well.
Yeah,
they
it's a-
are,
It's a pretty piece of property
they are working,
for a passive park,
yeah, through that right now.
so.
So these trees, looks like maybe might be a spot for a swing if it hanging down from a sturdy branch.
Maybe one of there's only, oh,
Can you do that?
there's one park that we have it, on King and East Harvey Park, we have a, tree swing. Got the ropes tied to it. It's never fallen down since I've been here, so. But we also have Frank Mueller who ties all our knots.
As long as he ties these,
Yes.
we'll be good.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it might be a safe.
yeah.
That is a good idea.
I think that that'd be great.
Yeah.
If you, I bet it would be used a bit. You know?
I think it's, you know, the park itself is kind of untouched. It's very easy to maintain. It's kind of, you know, go in there and or cutting, ending and trim a little bit with the jasmine as it starts to grow up. Some podocarpus on the back end side, but podocarpus very easy to maintain, shape up the way you want it to. But I think that this park does have a lot of potential to kind of be reimagined. I think that'd be an exciting project for this group to take on.
Nice. An improved one.
Very interesting.
Okay. Anything else? No,
No.
Adam?
No, fine. Unless you got more for me.
No, I don't, that's it. Look forward to seeing you guys on the 6th.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, no, 6 for Arbor Day.
6, oh,
Because that's our, it's still our December meeting, but our December meeting will always be on Arbor Day.
All right, meeting is adjourned.